Hazel, send me $250 by tomorrow. What? Why do you need that much money all of a sudden? I'm actually on vacation right now. I'm staying at a hotel. I went over my budget a little, so I don't have the money. I went a little too crazy on the room service. Their caviar is melt in the mouth good. Why don't you pay by card? Nope, can't do that. My cards have been declined. Oh, so you really can't pay? Are you for real, Irene? Don't make this my fault. It's because you're not sending me enough money. I don't have the money lying around. I'm having to really save carefully because I'm sending you all that money, you know. You should just quit your lousy job and become a lap dancer. Work somewhere high-end, maybe. But I'm sure you could work at the kind of place with a less wealthy clientele. I'm sure they only hire fugly girls, so you'd fit right in. If you're the one who's having to beg for money, why don't you work somewhere like that? You know I could. I'm sure I'd soon be a top earner with my looks. But I wouldn't work such a low-paying and classless job anyway. I'm an influencer, you know? Men are practically shoving each other out of the way just to get a glimpse of me. Then why don't you ask men like that for money? I can barely afford my living costs with how much you extort from me. I can't ask them for something so embarrassing. I'm filthy stinkin' rich in my social media persona. I can't just go on Patreon or whatever. To ask for handouts. It would totally ruin my brand. It's probably better if you don't try to keep up public appearances like that. If you swallowed your pride and were more honest, you could just ask your followers for money. Who asked you to lecture me? Who do you think you are? Don't get too full of yourself. You're just my ugly little sister who can only earn peanuts. And good luck getting home by yourself. No. Send me the money. I'm sick of this. Why should I? Fine then. I'll run away. I used your name and address for the hotel booking. I'm sure they'll be in touch soon. You did what? Hold on a minute. Have you changed your mind about paying? Why would you do this to me? Stop it. I'll pay. Just promise me that you'll never use my name again. That depends on your attitude from now on. So, you'd better not talk back to me again. You might be ugly, but you're not completely useless. You're my walking wallet. Sorry, Mom. I couldn't pick up the phone. You really blew up my phone with so many calls that I thought it was broken. What is it? Oh, Hazel. You're always so useless when I need you the most. What's the point of you even having a cell phone if you're not going to pick up? I was working, so I didn't have a chance to pick up. I've been stuck in meetings all afternoon. Well, whatever. Never mind that. Your sister's in big trouble. Irena's? What has she done now? She's $40,000 in debt. $40,000? How did it get that bad? You know, Irene's an influencer. She has to keep up appearances. There's a lot of costs for her to upkeep. A proper influencer wouldn't get into debt just to take photos for Instagram. You and Dad need to wake up too, Mom. You should do what's best for Irene and make her work a real job. Irene is working. We get all sorts of samples and products in her name. They're all crawling all over her to review or post their products on her social media. But those are just samples, right? It's not as if she's getting a proper contract for endorsements. So she's earning nothing from those until she starts advertising those products on her account. It's all completely worthless. She might as well be paid in pebbles. Ugh, just shut your mouth. Irene is beautiful, so she'll marry a rich man one day. She looks just like her mother, unlike someone else in the family. Then that's great. She can get her future husband to pay off all that debt for her. I'm having enough trouble paying off her racket money every month. Racket money? Irene isn't some gangster. That's not a fair way of putting it. We're just getting you to pay back all the money we spent on your childhood. Think again. I paid that back years ago. Irene's always been your golden child. You barely spent anything on me because you used all your money on your favorite. Venomous words, as always. Don't you feel a shred of gratitude towards us? We put our blood, sweat, and tears into raising you. That's the only reason I'm still giving you money. Even when I do forget to pay her, you don't exactly just stand by and let it go. All of you call my office or wait for me after work. Racket money does sound pretty accurate. The only thing that's missing is the protection a real mafia would offer me. Don't exaggerate, Hazel. We just get worried about you if you stop contacting us. I could see where this conversation was going from a mile away. But I really can't this time. You realize that I'm barely making ends meet as it is, don't you? Of course I do. If we thought you were going to grow up to be the kind of adult that would be able to pay off $40,000 without a second thought, well, let's just say that we would have shown you a little more love when you were growing up. But I've been made a great offer that makes it unnecessary for you to pay the debts. A great offer? What? Some loan shark? No, much better. There's a very wealthy man who approached our family about marrying our daughter. Oh, well, that was great timing. Good for you guys. Yeah, tell me about it. Looks like fate is very kind to Irene. So, you need to quit your job and get married, Hazel. Huh? This man says he wants to marry you. Me? This must be some kind of mistake. Why would he choose me when I have a much prettier sister? Remember that ugly boy who used to live in our neighborhood years ago? That fatty with the acne all over his face. The one with a single mother. Only you would play with him. Do you remember him? I think they moved away when he started junior high. You mean Jake? Yeah, that's the one. So, his secretary came to our house. Apparently, he's a CEO now. They came to us saying that he wanted to marry you if you're single. So, he offered a prenup. We get a $25,000 payment if you marry him. I never thought I'd see the day you'd actually be useful, Hazel. You should be proud of yourself. What the? Jake wants to marry me? No way. I'm not marrying him. This is an offer we can't refuse. This is the only way to save Irene from her debts. $25 is hardly enough to pay off all her debts. It's not as if we'd solve the problem by me marrying him anyway. Oh, don't be so naive. He's a CEO. If you marry him, $15,000 will be a drop in the ocean for him. He sent his secretary all the way to see us. And he specifically requested that he marry you. If we ask him, he should be able to provide us that much, no problem. I can't do this. What? Do you have a boyfriend or something? Well, no, but... Then it's fine. You have no reason to refuse this. If you're really so repulsed by him, just divorce him right away. We'll get the money because of the prenup. I can't get married if I'm planning to end it before it's even started. I can't play with Jake's feelings like that. He's saying that he wants you. You need to marry him. Did you miss the part where he's rich or something? Anyway, it's too late to refuse now. We already gave him the green light. You did what? Why didn't you ask me first? It's just too good of an offer to refuse. I'll be honest, we did want to let Irene get married first. So we floated the idea to Irene of her getting married to Mr. Rich CEO. But she cried and refused because he was too ugly. So that's why you're marrying him instead. Not only will all of her debts be gone, but life will only get better from there. You have some nerve, Mom. You've constantly belittled me and kept me excluded since I was little. You took away my childhood, my money. And now you want to take away my right to decide who I marry too? Why do I have to be mistreated like this just because I don't look like you and Dad? Attractive people get treated better in life. It's just the way of the world that we tried to teach you from a young age. You're just not pretty. You should just be grateful that we don't hit you. That's despicable, even coming from you. You really are toxic parents. I don't even consider you my family. Just stay out of my life from now on. Then just be a good girl and get married to this guy. If you get married, you'll get a new family instead of us. You'll get your wish. You won't have to spend so much time with us anymore, I'm guessing. Fine. I'll marry him, so you stay the hell away from me and my life after that. If you can promise me that, I'll do as you say, Mom. Hazel, congratulations. I heard you finally got married. So, you really did go through with marrying that guy? What do you want, Irene? I've only had radio silence from you since I heard about your marriage. Let's not be strangers. We're sisters, after all. How's your newlywed life with that hideous tub of lard? Oh, and don't forget about the money. I was so busy that I forgot. Busy? I thought you were just trying to avoid thinking about your current predicament. It must be awful to have to look at that repugnant face and pretend that you love him. I understand if you might feel down sometimes. But you can't forget about the money you need to give me. Awful? You have no idea. I couldn't be happier right now. I am having the time of my life. How can that be? Thanks to you, Irene. I don't think I could find a better husband if I tried. Every day is so fun for me, so I'm really happy. Have you gotten a little carried away because you live so luxuriously now? Or are you just pleased that you were lucky enough to finally find a man somehow? Jake is so admirable, handsome, and kind. He's my new family, and he doesn't try to bully me out of my own money. Of course I'm pleased. Are you mocking us? He might be rich, but physically, he's about as attractive as a rotting sack of potatoes. A good match for you, I suppose. That's a little rude to Jake. He's very good looking, like a model. He's probably just your type. What? That acne-marked fatso? My type? Don't tell me you're useless, ugly, and stupid. You have no idea what Jake looks like these days, do you? Huh? You know his full name. You know his full name, don't you? Why don't you go search for him online? He's probably on interviews and articles for being a young entrepreneur. Why should I search about him online? Well, I guess it would be pretty funny to laugh at that ugly face for the first time in a while. I can't find anything, even if I search for his name. I can only find this model-faced guy with the exact same name as him. That's the same Jake that we knew when we were kids. No way. He's built like a bodybuilder. His face looks nothing like it used to. He worked out. I was pretty shocked too when I saw him for the first time recently. But he looks really good now, right? Did he get work done on his face? Nope, he hasn't. His face is the same as ever, just slimmer. Can't you tell? If I knew he was so good looking, I would have married him. Why won't he marry me? You always bullied him and insulted him when we were kids. He's not going to exactly be dying to marry you after all that. You need to divorce him right now. Tell him that I'll be his new wife instead. Sorry, but Jake loves me, not you. And I don't have any intention of paying any of your debts, Irene. Not a single penny of them. How come? This isn't what we discussed. You promised that your rich husband would pay it all. That's just what you assumed. It doesn't concern me or Jake. You need to take care of your own debts. Hazel! You're not going to pay back the rest of Irene's debt? What's your problem? Do you really think we can afford it all? No, I don't. So? Don't you so me! You owe us for raising you! Don't you care what happens to Irene? Nope. None of you three ever gave me help when I needed it. So, why do I have to help you? Because it's convenient for you? Screw that. It's because we're your family. We're not family anymore, remember? I've never really thought of any of you as family anyway. Just using me as your walking wallet when it suited you. Even when I tried to get away, you wouldn't let me go. You ambushed me in front of my house or office. All of you have done nothing but get in the way of my life. It's always been like this, ever since I can remember. We needed money to support Irene! Yeah, that's got nothing to do with me anymore. I'm not willing to work like a slave just for my sister. If Irene is so important to you, then why don't you pick up another job and support her yourself? Fine. Then you need to get divorced. We'll get Jake to marry Irene and... It's too late anyway. Plus, that's an absolutely insane thing to think of. Trying to control someone else's marriage is psychotic. You sure you want to go down this road? Go ahead, if you dare. But I'll tell him the whole truth. That you didn't marry him because you loved him. I'll let him know it was only for the money. I'm sure he'll be very hurt. No, he won't. I told him everything anyway. About how you've been more or less extorting money from me like thugs. You did? Actually, I reunited with Jake a few months before the talk of marriage came up. We happened to meet through work. Since then, we started to have dinner together. Then he started approaching me for something more than that. So you were dating from before? No, we weren't dating. But only because we couldn't. I knew that if we did start a proper relationship, that you guys would start pestering him. That's why I didn't have a boyfriend all this time. I knew you monsters would do something to mess it up. I'd already declined his proposal by that point. Are you telling me that's why his secretary came to our house? Seems that way. He really is too sentimental. Someone like him is bound to have women throwing themselves at him. Well, then you really wasted everyone's time here. You should have jumped at the chance to marry him in the first place. We would have been more than happy for you to marry someone so rich. I wouldn't have pestered him or anything. Yeah, right. There's nothing I'm more sure of in my life that you absolutely would have pestered him. The prenup payment was supposed to be used for our marriage and wedding, but you immediately went and paid off the debts with that money. You even said that you were planning to pay back the rest of the debts by squeezing it out of Jake. Well, he's in sitch. It's no skin off his nose to help his wife's family. It's to be expected for someone like him. This is exactly why I turned down Jake's proposal. I knew you'd get your greedy little claws all over him and his money. But you had to go and accept his proposal without even asking for my permission. I snapped after the conversation about paying back Irene's debts. I knew exactly what would have happened if Jake didn't approach you about the marriage. I would have been saddled with the privilege of slaving away at my job with only pennies for myself until the debts were paid off. I certainly couldn't have paid it back working my regular 9-to-5 job. I'm sure you would have roped me into doing some shady business just so I could help my sister out. But it all worked out in the end. You must have been interested in Jake if you were seeing him so often. It's thanks to us that you two got married in the end. Maybe you're right. But this and that are separate issues. I'm not helping Irene anymore. You're toxic. I don't want anything to do with any of you from now on. How do you plan on doing that? If you're not going to pay up, we'll go to Jake's office. Are you sure you want that? We'll cause quite a scene. Actually, Jake already sold that company just this month. He's got a new business that he'll be taking over abroad. So we're not even going to be in the country anymore. Good luck trying to follow us there with your financial situation. What? You're even leaving the country now? Jake's mom passed away a while ago. He doesn't even have family around here anymore. You won't be able to harass me outside mine or Jake's house or workplace from now on. Where abroad? Give us your address right now! Why would I tell you? Not that it would matter, because it's not as if you could follow us. How would you even afford the money for a flight? You'll have to rely on yourselves to pay off the debts. But I hope you realize that you've got more than $15,000 to pay off for Irene. Since when has it been more than that? Jake did some research on Irene. Looks like she borrowed a lot of money from several different banks. So you won't be done with just those debts from before. You have a ton more paying back to look forward to. It's all because you and Dad coddled her all her life. I refuse to believe it. You're just lying to spite us. Believe it or not, it's the truth. Why don't you ask Irene herself just to be safe? She's there with you too, isn't she? Hazel, it's Irene. I'm begging you. Please, just help me out this one last time. Mom's really mad at me. I wonder why. I'm sorry for treating you so horribly over the years. I've always blamed you for everything. I'm so sorry about that. I apologize. So please give me the money to pay off these debts. I owe a bunch of places money. It doesn't matter how many times you apologize. I couldn't help you out here even if I wanted to. Jake has the money. It's not mine to give. Even if I could, I don't want to give you any more than I already have. I know I told you I'm an influencer, but I don't actually have any income whatsoever from this gig. So that's why my debts have only been mounting up without me being able to pay them. I knew that you were actually dead broke. It was obvious because you've had to rely on my money. All those followers you have on social media. They're bots that you bought with money, right? How did you know? I can tell by looking at the reactions of your fans to your tweets. I was in charge of social media marketing at my job. With a little bit of experience, it's plain to see just how bad of an influencer you really are. Then you must realize how dire of a situation I'm in. Just $8,000 will do. I want you to lend me some money. I've been driven into a corner here. I will find a great husband and get him to pay it back. I promise. Then go find yourself a great husband, Irene. It should be a piece of cake for you. You've got those amazing looks that you're so proud of. Whoa. Oh, I see. You want to, but you can't? I just haven't found my soulmate yet. I'm sure I'm fated to meet an incredible guy soon. If you really believe that, you should have no problem paying your debts back while you wait for that to happen. If you're going to find someone so soon, you can put up with it for just a little while. But I've never worked a day in my life. Then how are you going to pay the money back? I'm not giving you a penny. I'll go follow you, Hazel. I can live where you're going to live. You what? I'll start my life over. The people of this country just don't get my greatness. And the influencer market is saturated here. Because a social media influencer. It just sounds so glamorous, too. I'm sure I'll be able to get tons of followers. I can make it big in another country. You haven't thought this through, have you? First of all, you don't even know where we're going. And you don't even speak the language there. What makes you think you can earn money as an influencer there when you can't even do it in your home country? You don't know until you try. Where there's a will, there's a way. If you really think so, why don't you go ahead and try? You know that I won't live with you. In fact, I won't even lift a finger to help you. I can't do it all alone. I just want a little help to get started working abroad. You've got to help your sister out here. You're the one who's so confident that you can make it over there. You can darn well do it yourself. Irene, you're all talk. But you leave all the actual work to other people. You're so full of yourself even though you can't do anything alone. You should grow up. Look for a realistic way to pay your bills. Not to mention your insane debts. I'm beautiful, so I don't have to work. Other people work for me. That's how I've lived all this time. Then why don't you carry on doing just that? See where that gets you. You do have mom and dad still on your side after all. They'd sell their house if it's for their golden child, wouldn't they? That would give them the funds to get rid of their debts outright. We can't. We don't own the house. Mom and Dad have been renting this whole time. Then you'd all better get to work. If all three of you work together to pool your spare money together, you can pay it back. No, I can't work. Not with that attitude. You have no choice, though. You have to work. I've been treated like garbage all my life by you three, but even I was capable of working and earning money. I'm sure the beautiful and intelligent favorite child should be able to find a good-paying job, no problem. You don't mean those words. I bet you think I'm an idiot, really. Oh, so you do understand how much you suck. But I do think that your life is very entertaining. Like a tragic comedy. Why don't you post all about your sad life on social media? You're more likely to get a lot of hits than with whatever nonsense you were doing before. Hey, maybe you could even become a real influencer. Apparently, Irene told Mom and Dad all about all of her debt. There was no way that respectable banks would allow someone unemployed to borrow money. So it turned out that it was all from shady loan sharks. I heard that the total debt amount ballooned up to $65,000 after interest. My sister kept bothering me with texts about how much she was struggling to make ends meet. Cancelled my phone in the end. Then I could finally have some peace with zero contact from my so-called family. In the past, when I lived alone, they would always try to catch me outside my house or my office. But it seems like once I moved abroad, they didn't have the money nor the determination to come harass me. Rumor has it that Irene has picked up a cruddy job that was forced on her by the loan sharks. Thanks to my sister's financial ineptitude, my parents have had to sell everything valuable in their house. They were so close before, but it seems like their relationship is straining now. As for Irene's social media, she's still feigning wealth as always. I guess old habits die hard. I'm enjoying my peaceful life with my new husband, Jake. I thought I'd never be happy as long as my nightmare of a family were around. That's exactly the reason why I hesitated so much when moving forward with Jake. I'm incredibly glad that Jake didn't give up on me. I was weak when it came to my family, but he helped me through it. Jake means the world to me. It was always my dream to start a happy family. But now, that's a dream that him and I will be able to fulfill together, thanks to him. He showed me that I should never stop striving for happiness. I promised him that I'd start looking after myself.